and holy. That's Robert. Shayla, that's Robert. That's Robert. That's Robert. Yes. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Good to go. So we live over here. Was buffering. Okay, now it's live on YouTube. Alright. Happy Tuesday, everybody. I hope everybody enjoyed their day of rest, their weekend, whatever it was you had. Some people got a longer rest than others. Maybe some of y'all had a 3-day weekend. Mine is kind of like that, a 3-day weekend. All right, beautiful people. Look at that. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Happy Tuesday. What I should have did is looked at Kings real quick before I fall out the chapter. That's not deal. Hold on. Lord, blessings, Aliyah, peace and blessings, peace and blessings, Belinda Brown. Hold on, let me pull this up before I call this out. Close this. All right. Check the chapter make sure I see. Okay. Alright, we're good. Yep. Alright, y'all. Happy Tuesday. It is April the 27th, 2021. Day 138 of year 3. Of reading through the books of the law and the prophets, and of the 3-year consecutive day count, day 807. Y'all, today we are reading 2 Kings chapter 21, 22, and 23. Then we'll hop on over to the Legends of the Jews and pick up over there where we left off at on Sunday. Yep, Sunday. Demi shalom, shalom. Okay, y'all, so let's go ahead and do not the blessing, the Shema, which is found in Deuteronomy chapter 6. Hear, therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with you, and that you may increase mightily, as Yahuwah, the God of our fathers, has promised us, in a land that flows with milk and honey. Hear, pay attention, Israel. Hear, O Israel, Yahuwah, our God, He is one God. And you shall love Yahuwah your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be in your heart. And you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them upon the posts of your house and on your gates. And Yahuwah commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear Yahuwah our God, for our good always, that He might preserve us alive, as it is at this day. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before Yahuwah our God, as He has commanded us. All right, y'all. So let's hop on over here to 2 Kings. See the sun about to come in. Okay. All right. 2 Kings chapter 21. Manasseh was 12 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 55 years. His mother was Hephzibah. He did what was evil in Yahuwah's sight, following the detestable practices of the pagan nations that Yahuwah had driven from the land ahead of the Israelites. He rebuilt the pagan shrines his father Hezekiah had destroyed. He constructed altars for Baal and set up an Asherah pole, just as King Ahab of Israel had done. He also bowed before all the powers of the heavens and worshipped them. He built pagan altars in the temple of Yahuwah, the place where Yahuwah said, "My name will remain in Jerusalem forever." He built these altars for all the powers of heavens in both courtyards of Yahuwah's temple. Manasseh also sacrificed his own son in the fire. He practiced sorcery and divination, and he consulted with mediums and psychics. He did much that was evil in Yahuwah's sight, arousing his anger. Manasseh even made a carved image of Asherah and set it up in the temple, the very place where Yahuwah had told David and his son Solomon, "My name will be honored forever in this temple and in Jerusalem, the city I have chosen from among all the tribes of Israel. If the Israelites will be careful to obey my commands, all the laws my servant Moses gave them, I will not send them into exile from this land that I gave their ancestors." And clearly, we all know that they ain't keep to this, right? Because we've been exiled, right? Look, Yahuwah's talking about his name and his commands. We'll just go back. We'll just go back to verse 7. Because a lot of time, I know I say it a lot, but every time I get to it, I want to reiterate it. So when you see it, it's just, yeah, look, so you can just recognize it. Once you recognize it, you're going to recognize it everywhere. Just in case you ain't started recognizing it yet, I'm going to keep calling it out every time we see it. Verse 7. Manasseh even made a carved image of Asherah and set it up in the temple, the very place where Yahuwah had told David and his son Solomon, my name, Yahuwah's name alone, my name will be honored forever. In this temple and in Jerusalem, the city I have chosen from among all the tribes of Israel, if the Israelites will be careful to obey my commands, all the laws. Matter of fact, when it's right here, if you actually read along, it says, if the Israelites will be careful to obey my commands. And it's not parentheses, but it's like a dash between where it's showing what his commands are. If the Israelites will be careful to obey my commands, which are these, all the laws my servant Moses gave them, and it's another dash to let you know what his commands are. Good morning, Uncle James Brown. He said his laws are all the laws that his servant Moses gave to us, right? Okay. And what were those? Let's find out what Moses did. It's clear we all know that, but I just want to bring it out just in case, you sleep reading. If the Israelites will be careful to obey my commands, all the laws my servant Moses gave them, I will not send them into exile from this land that I gave their ancestors. But the people refused to listen, and Manasseh led them to do even more evil than the pagan nations that Yahuwah had destroyed when the people of Israel entered the land. Then Yahuwah said through his servants, the prophets, King Manasseh of Judah has done many detestable things. He is even more wicked than the Amorites who lived in this land before Israel. How his people be more wicked than the wicked people Yahuwah kicked out, right? Look, King Manasseh of Judah has done many detestable things. He is even more wicked than the Amorites who lived in this land before Israel. He has caused the people of Judah to sin with his idols. So this is what Yahuwah, the God of Israel, says. I will bring such disaster on Jerusalem and Judah that the ears of those who hear about it will tingle with horror. We know that's true, right? We can clearly see that Yahuwah has been faithful into doing just that, right? I will judge Jerusalem by the same standard I used for Samaria and the same measure I used for the family of Ahab. I will wipe away the people of Jerusalem as one wipes a dish and turns it upside down. Then I will reject even the remnant of my own people who are left, and I will hand them over as plunder for their enemies. For they have done great evil in my sight and have angered me ever since their ancestors came out of Egypt. Manasseh also murdered many innocent people until Jerusalem was filled from one end to the other with innocent blood. This was in addition to the sin that he caused the people of Judah to commit, leading them to do evil in Yahuwah's sight. The rest of the events in Manasseh's reign and everything he did, including the sins he committed, are recorded in the book of the history of the kings of Judah. When Manasseh died, he was buried in the palace garden, the garden of Uzzah. Then his son Amon became the next king. Amon was 22 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 2 years. His mother was Meshullemeth, the daughter of Haruz from Jotbah. He did what was evil in Yahuwah's sight, just as his father Manasseh had done. He followed the example of his father, worshiping the same idols his father had worshipped. He abandoned Yahuwah, the God of his ancestors, and he refused to follow Yahuwah's ways. The Ammon's own officials conspired against him and assassinated him in his palace. But the people of the land killed all those who had conspired against King Ammon, and they made his son Josiah the next king. The rest of the events in Ammon's reign and what he did are recorded in the book of the history of the kings of Judah. He was buried in his tomb in the garden of Uzzah. Then his son Josiah became the next king. 2 Kings chapter 22. Josiah was 8 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 31 years. His mother was Jedidah, the daughter of Adiah from Bozkath. He did what was pleasing in Yahuwah's sight and followed the example of his ancestor David. He did not turn away from doing what was right. In the 18th year of his reign, King Josiah sent Shaphan, son of Azaliah, and grandson of Meshullam, the court secretary, to the temple of Yahuwah. He told him, "Go to Hilkiah, the high priest, and have him count the money the gatekeepers have collected from the people at Yahuwah's temple. Entrust this money to the men assigned to supervise the restoration of Yahuwah's temple. Then they can use it to pay workers to repair the temple. They will need to hire carpenters, builders, and masons. Also, have them buy the timber and the finished stone needed to repair the temple, but don't require the construction supervisors to keep account of the money they receive, for they are honest and trustworthy men." Hilkiah, the high priest, said to Shaphan, the court secretary, "I have found the book of the law in Yahuwah's temple." Then Hilkiah gave the scroll to Shaphan, and he read it. Shaphan went to the king and reported, "Your officials have turned over the money collected at the temple of Yahuwah to the workers and supervisors at the temple." Shaphan also told the king, "Hilkiah the priest has given me a scroll." So Shaphan read it to the king. When the king heard what was written in the book of the law, he tore his clothes in despair. Then he gave these orders to Hilkiah the priest: Ahikam the son of Shaphan, Akbor son of Micaiah, Shaphan the court secretary, and Asaiah the king's personal advisor. "Go to the temple and speak to Yahuwah for me and for the people and all of Judah. Inquire about the words written in this scroll that has been found. For Yahuwah's great anger is burning against us because our ancestors have not obeyed the words in this scroll. We have not been doing everything it says we must do." And that's exactly where we're at, right? We have found it. We're going back to it, and we're realizing we are doing everything he told us not to do, which clearly explains why what is happening to us and our people is happening to us and our people, right? "Go to the temple and speak to Yahuwah for me and for the people and for all of Judah. Inquire about the words written in this scroll that has been found. For Yahuwah's great anger is burning against us because our ancestors have not obeyed the words in this scroll. We have not been doing everything it says we must do." Shalom, shalom, Mom. So Hilkiah the priest, Ahikam, Akbor, Shaphan, and Asaiah went to the new quarter of Jerusalem to consult the prophet Huldah. She was the wife of Shullam, son of Tikvah, son of Harphas, the keeper of the temple wardrobe. She said to them, "Yahuwah, the God of Israel, has spoken. Go back and tell the man who sent you, this is what Yahuwah says. I am going to bring disaster on this city and its people. Oh, just in case y'all miss it, here's another woman Yahuwah has used, right? Let's go back up. Sometimes we kind of skip over it. Let's go back up. So Hilkiah, the priest, Ahikam, Akbor, Shaphan, and Asaiah went to the new quarter of Jerusalem to consult with the prophet Huldah, right? She was the wife of Shullam, son of Tikvah, son of Harhas, the keeper of the temple wardrobe. She said to them, Yahuwah, the God of Israel, has spoken. Go back and tell the man who sent you. This is what Yahuwah says. I am going to bring disaster on this city and its people. All the words written in the scroll that the king of Judah has read will come true. For my people have abandoned me and offered sacrifices to pagan gods, and I am very angry with them for everything they have done. My anger will burn against this place and will not be quenched. But go to the king of Judah who sent you to seek Yahuwah and tell him, this is what Yahuwah, the God of Israel, says concerning the message you have just heard. You were sorry and humbled yourself before Yahuwah when you heard what I said against this city and its people, that this land would be cursed and become desolate. You tore your clothing in despair and wept before me in repentance. And I have indeed heard you, says Yahuwah. So I will not send the promised disaster until after you have died and been buried in peace. You will not see the disaster I am going to bring on this city. So they took her message back to the king. And notice what it said Josiah did, right? Josiah didn't go offering sacrifices or anything like that. He just pretty much cried out in repentance for his sin, his generation's sin, and the sin of the previous generations, right? Let's go back. Let's read what it says. But go to the king of Judah who sent you, and I brought that out because that has always been Yahuwah's way, right? Like I told you the other day, people who are teaching it, who don't really have the understanding, or they weren't authorized by Yah to teach it, they get you focusing on wrong things like the sacrifices, right? If you're thinking about sacrifices and all that, you're off looking at the wrong thing. They have diverted your attention from what truly matters, right? Repentance all the way from the beginning, right? When we do something wrong, Yahuwah simply wants us, when we realize what we have done, to stop in our tracks. Repent, meaning correct, fix what we have screwed up, and if it's far beyond our reach and what we can fix or make amends for, we need to go to him, repent, do as much as you can, all that is in your hand to do to fix what you've wrong, and go to your Father, forgive me. I'm sorry, help me fix this mess, or it's out of my hands now, you're going to have to fix it, right? Listen, but go to the king of Judah who sent you to seek Yahuwah and tell him, this is what Yahuwah, the God of Israel, says concerning the message you have just heard. You were sorry and humbled yourself before Yahuwah when you heard what I said against this city and its people, that this land would be cursed and become desolate. You tore your clothing in despair and wept before me in repentance. And I have indeed heard you, says Yahuwah. So I will not send the promised disaster until after you have died and have been buried in peace. You will not see the disaster I am going to bring on this city. So they took her message back to the king. Now that also tells us that judgment can be averted. It can be pushed off into the future. Clearly, we know that after he died, they were still up to their shenanigans, which caused a disaster to happen, which caused us to be where we at right now and talk about what we're talking about, right? So, good morning, Lindsay. So, but when we see that's a common thing. When people repent, if Yahuwah has decreed judgment, he will push it off into the future, into some future time. If he doesn't altogether dissolve the judgment he was going to bring, right? Just like Nineveh. Nineveh was going to be destroyed. But when Jonah finally went, they repented, right? And Yahuwah pushed the judgment off. Now, they went back to their wicked ways some years later, and that judgment Yahuwah said he was going to bring eventually fell on Nineveh. But we see how long-suffering Yahuwah is, right? Okay. And he is most forgiving. He said, I do not desire the wicked to die, but simply that they would repent and begin to live a righteous life. All right, y'all, last chapter for today, 2 Kings chapter 23. Then the king summoned all the elders of Judah and Jerusalem, and the king went up to the temple of Yahuwah with all the people of Judah and Jerusalem, along with all the priests and the prophets, all the people from the least to the greatest. There the king read to them the entire book of the covenant that had been found in Yahuwah's temple. The king took his place of authority beside the pillar and renewed the covenant in Yahuwah's presence. He pledged to obey Yahuwah by keeping all his commands, laws, and decrees with all his heart and soul. In this way, he confirmed all the terms of the covenant that were written in a scroll, and all the people pledged themselves to the covenant. Then the king instructed Hilkiah, the high priest, and the priests of the second rank, and the temple gatekeepers to remove from Yahuwah's temple all the articles that were used to worship Baal, Asherah, and all the powers of the heavens. The king had all these things burned outside Jerusalem on the terraces of the Kidron Valley, and he carried the ashes away to Bethel. He did away with the idolatrous priests who had been appointed by the previous kings of Judah, for they had offered sacrifices at the pagan shrines throughout Judah and even in the vicinity of Jerusalem. They had also offered sacrifices to Baal and to the sun, the moon, the constellations, and all the powers of the heavens. The king removed the Asherah pole from Yahuwah's temple and took it outside Jerusalem to the Kidron Valley, where he burned it. Then he ground the ashes of the pole to dust and threw the dust over the graves of the people. He also tore down the living quarters of the male and female shrine prostitutes that were inside the temple of Yahuwah, where the women wove coverings for their Asherah pole. Josiah brought to Jerusalem all the priests who were living in other towns of Judah, in all the other towns of Judah. He also defiled the pagan shrines where they had offered sacrifices, all the way from Geba to Beersheba. He destroyed the shrines at the entrance of the gate of Joshua, the governor of Jerusalem. This gate was located to the left of the city gate as one enters the city. The priests who had served at the pagan shrines were not allowed to serve at Yahuwah's altar in Jerusalem, but they were allowed to eat unleavened bread with the other priests. Then the king defiled the altar of Topheth in the valley of Ben Hinnom, so that no one could ever again use it to sacrifice a son or daughter in the fire as an offering to Molech. He removed from the entrance of Yahuwah's temple the horse statues that the former kings of Judah had dedicated to the sun. They were near the quarters of Nathan Melech, the eunuch, an officer of the court. The king also burned the chariots dedicated to the sun. Josiah tore down the altars that the kings of Judah had built on the palace roof above the upper room of Ahaz. The king destroyed the altars that Manasseh had built in the two courtyards of Yahuwah's temple. He smashed them to bits and scattered the pieces in the Kidron Valley. The king also desecrated the pagan shrines east of Jerusalem, to the south of the Mount of Corruption, where King Solomon of Israel had built shrines for Ashtoreth, the detestable goddess of the Sidonians, and for Chemosh, the detestable god of the Moabites, and for Molech, the vile god of the Ammonites. He smashed the sacred pillars and cut down the Asherah poles. Then he desecrated these places by scattering human bones over them. Josiah wasn't playing. I'm telling you. Look, the king also tore down the altar at Bethel, the pagan shrine that Jeroboam, son of Nebat, had made when he caused Israel to sin. He burned down the shrine. And ground it to dust, and he burned the Asherah pole. Then Josiah turned around and noticed several tombs in the side of the hill. He ordered that the bones be brought out, and he burned them all on the altar at Bethel to desecrate it. This happened just as Yahuwah had promised through the man of Yah when Jeroboam stood beside the altar at the festival. Then Josiah turned and looked up at the tomb of the man of Yah who had predicted these things. "What is that monument over there?" Josiah asked. And the people of the town told him, "It is the tomb of the man of Yah who came from Judah and predicted the very things that you have done to the altar at Bethel." Josiah replied, "Leave it alone. Don't disturb his bones." So they did not burn his bones or those of the old prophet from Samaria. Then Josiah demolished all the buildings at the pagan shrines in the towns of Samaria, just as he had done at Bethel. They had been built by the various kings of Israel and had made Yahuwah very angry. He executed the priests of the pagan shrines on their own altars, and he burnt the human bones on the altars to desecrate them. Finally, he returned to Jerusalem. Bro, Josiah put some work in. Look, yeah, all that foolishness was in the temple, Trina. He said, we just going to go ahead and purify the temple now. We burn everybody. And all the ones that died, dig them up. We're going to kill them again, right? And we're going to desecrate. We're going to break and burn all their bones. Yanatah. Hey. King Josiah then issued this order to all the people. You must celebrate the Passover to Yahuwah your God as required in this book of the covenant. There had not been a Passover celebration like this since the time when the judges ruled in Israel, nor throughout all the years of the kings of Israel and Judah. But in the 18th year of King Josiah's reign, this Passover was celebrated to Yahuwah in Jerusalem. Josiah also got rid of the mediums, the psychics, the household gods, the idols, and every other kind of detestable practice, both in Jerusalem and throughout the land of Judah. He did this in obedience to the laws written in the scroll that Hilkiah the priest had found in Yahuwah's temple. Never before had there been a king like Josiah, who turned to Yahuwah with all his heart and soul and strength, obeying all the laws of Moses. And there has never been a king like him since. Even so, Yahuwah was very angry with Judah because all the wicked things Manasseh had done to provoke him. For Yahuwah said, I will also banish Judah from my presence, just as I have banished Israel. So remember, all of Israel, remember the split between the family? The Israel was the northern kingdom, which is the 10 tribes, and Judah is the 2 tribes, Judah and Benjamin. Of course, you got some Simeon and Levi mixed in there, right? But when it says Judah, when we see scripture talking about Israel and Judah, we're talking about the families. We already been split, right? Israel has already been scattered because they was committing multiple shenanigans, no holds barred, and they just wasn't stopping. Nothing was stopping them, so they vanished a long time. Judah got to stay in the land a little bit longer, right? But they kept getting kicked out. Like, get out. You not all right, Daddy? We sorry. Can we come back? Okay, y'all come on back. Yep, you doing it again? Get out, right? Judah kept being kicked out, let back in. 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 So finally, Yahuwah say, you know what? I'm sick of this. I'm going to send you away for a very long time this time. And I don't care how much you plead with me to bring you back, you're going to stay out there about 400 years, right? Don't even. I'm going to look at you. I'm going to watch everything that's going on. I'm going to keep note of it and everything that everybody's doing to you. I'm going to keep note. But you need a little bit longer time because them previous times I kicked you out, I don't think you was really sincere because you reverted back to your old ways, right? So you need to be out there just a little bit longer just to see how much I truly do care about you and how much your guys care for you, do not care for you at all. Matter of fact, while you out there, I want you to get a good feel of your guys that you've been worshiping. Call on them while you're there. You can do all the calling and worshiping them that you want while you out there. And I'm going to watch it all. And you come back and tell me how much they have saved you. As many times as you call on your names, you let me know what they do for you, right? Nothing. And we are the witnesses of that. Nothing. The only one who has ever saved us is Yah and Yah alone. Let me go back to verse 26. We almost done with this. Even so, Yahuwah was very angry with Judah because of all the wicked things Manasseh had done to provoke him. For Yahuwah said, I will also banish Judah from my presence, just as I have banished Israel. And I will reject my chosen city of Jerusalem and the temple where my name was to be honored. Where my name, not JC and all these other names y'all call no, but my name, where my name was to be honored. The rest of the events in Josiah's reign and all his deeds are recorded in the book of the history of the kings of Judah. While Josiah was king, Pharaoh Necho, king of Egypt, went to the Euphrates River to help the king of Assyria. King Josiah and his army marched out to fight him, but King Necho killed him when they met him at Megiddo. Josiah's officers took his body back in a chariot from Megiddo to Jerusalem and buried him in his own tomb. Then the people of the land anointed Josiah's son Jehoahaz and made him the next king. So what happened that this most righteous king has died? Marvin, shalom, shalom. He got a little bit disobedient. He was not supposed to go out to war. Matter of fact, you will read in the Legends of the Jews, it gives us a little bit more detail about this. I'll go ahead and I'll put it in here for you. Hold on, Josiah. I'll add this so y'all can come back and read this little section. I'll put the link in there so you can actually read and just scroll down to the portion about Josiah and give you more of the detail and tell you why this righteous king died. He disobeyed a command from Yah. He was not supposed to go out to war with them, but he wanted to be nosy. He wanted to see all this. He went out there and he was shot. An arrow that was intended for somebody else hit him and he died, right? Well, I tell you, kings, those in charge, they have to be immediately obedient, right? Or Yahuwah, we just see it all the way through. Those who have a huge following, that they're leaders of a huge group of people, Yahuwah deals with them most swiftly. Some of them, they get a little, and that, I guess the amount of grace you get depends on what Yahuwah sees in your heart, right? So we see like King Nebuchadnezzar, not King Nebuchadnezzar, King Hezekiah, right? King Hezekiah had a little bit more grace. Yahuwah allowed him to get sick, but he repented, right? And he turned all the stuff he was doing, he completely turned from it till he decided to get a little bit, like, you know, he got a little big-headed. I mean, he still sinned, which called all of Israel to be taken into captivity, and Babylon came in and took all the beautiful things that he was showing off in the temple. But those in charge, they have to learn how to develop and hear the ear of Yah and be obedient always, right? And Yahuwah deals with them swiftly because they could lead a whole nation astray, or people that are under their care, people that are looking up to them, they will follow them right off the cliff. So that's why we see the kings left and right, out of here, 2 years, out of here, 10, nope, out of here, next, out of here. You want to do good? You want to do bad? Okay, we'll let you stay a little bit longer. You won't try? Okay, okay. Peace in his reign. He keeping to it, right? You come, you want to follow what Jeroboam did to David. Choose Jeroboam or David. David was on the path to life. Jeroboam, destruction. Oh, you want to follow Jeroboam? You die too. Nebuchadnezzar, come get him too, right? So all this, those in charge must be immediately and always obedient to y'all, right? If you're not sure, you better pause and think about it and pray, Father, okay, I don't know which step to take. You need to verify this. Otherwise, you'll be dealt with swiftly and immediately, y'all. So anybody, it could even be positions of leadership in your own home. Even if you're the man ruling your household, just remember that, right? Yahuwah deals with the head, because whatever is happening at the head flows down to the people, right? So if you're leading people, you have a family, you want to make sure you stay in direct communication with Yah and you stay on the right path. So, because it's not just you that's going to go astray. It's going to be your entire household that goes astray. Either your entire household is going to follow you on the righteous path, or you're going to lead your whole household astray. But the members don't necessarily have to follow your path. They can choose on their own, just like we had Josiah. He had a wicked father. He chose not to walk in his father's ways. He chose to walk in the ways of David, and Yahuwah blessed his reign, right? Okay, let me finish reading this. Then the people of the land anointed Josiah's son Jehoahaz and made him the next king. Jehoahaz was 23 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 3 months. His mother was Hamutal, the daughter of Jeremiah from Libnah. He did what was evil in Yahuwah's sight, just as his ancestors had done. Pharaoh Necho put Jehoahaz in prison at Riblah in the land of Hamath to prevent him from ruling in Jerusalem. He also demanded that Judah pay 7,500 pounds of silver and 75 pounds of gold as tribute. Pharaoh Necho then installed Eliakim, another of Josiah's sons, to reign in place of his father, and he changed Eliakim's name to Jehoiakim. Jehoahaz was taken to Egypt as prisoner, where he died. In order to get the silver and gold demanded as tribute by Pharaoh Necho, Jehoiakim collected a tax from the people of Judah, requiring them to pay in proportion to their wealth. Jehoiakim was 25 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 11 years. His mother was Zebidah, the daughter of Pedaiah from Rumah. He did what was evil in Yahuwah's sight, just as his ancestors had done. Oh, you got that right, Marvin. He said one thing that is consistent with our people is our character. The one thing that is consistent with our Father is he is consistent in his character. Yes, and the one thing about Yah is he always keeps to his word, right? Always. He is always more faithful than we are. Why are these pastors in these mega churches still allowed to lead people astray? Well, I will go as far as to say this, Dana. Some of these people leading, let me put it like this. Some of these people that are leading these churches, I will go as far to say are not even Yahuwah's people. A lot of them are not. And those, let's look at something too. When this was happening, we was in the land. Remember what Yahuwah says. He said, when you get over into the land, when you exile, you can do whatever you want to do for as long as you want to do it. So you got to remember, while we're still scattered to the four corners of the earth, and those of them that still walking in foolishness, they can do it to their hearts overflow with all kind of wickedness that they can imagine, right? They're in the land of their captivity. But Yahuwah's like, you gonna do all that. But we know for certain that when we're in our daddy's house, that ain't gonna fly, right? So I would say that's a big reason why a lot of these pastors in these mega churches are still allowed to lead people astray, right? Well, but some of them people are waking up and realizing that these pastors are nothing more than wolves in sheep's clothing. So I would say that because we're not in our daddy's house, but all of us that realize we're not in our daddy's house, we have also stepped away from the foolishness, right? And we're getting rid of more and more foolishness as the days progress, right? When we realize something else is wrong, we adjust and we get rid of what's wrong and we replace it with what is right. All right, y'all. Okay. Oh, that's right.
Mom.
He's right here. Yes, baby girl.
Where's Zay?
He should be upstairs. No, he came down here earlier. Hold on. Okay, y'all.
And Mom, can you make my smoothie?
Give me a minute, Pootie. I'll make you a smoothie in a minute. Okay, y'all. So we're on page 503. Satan indicts the Hebrews. All right. Close that, Tootie. Okay. The position of the... Remember, we're still talking about Esther and everything that's happening while she was... Thank you. While she was in King Ahasuerus' kingdom. The position of the Hebrews after the royal edict became known Hold on. What? The position of the Hebrews after the royal edict became known beggar's description. What? Hold on, that don't make sense to me. Maybe I'm reading it wrong. The position of the Hebrews after the royal edict became known beggar's description. Okay. Maybe it became known as a beggar's description. I don't know. I'm going to keep reading. We'll figure it out. If a Hebrew ventured abroad on the street to make a purchase, he was almost throttled by the Persians, who taunted him with these words: never mind, tomorrow will soon be here, and then I shall kill thee and take thy money away from thee. Okay. Okay, gotcha. Okay, I think it was missing as. Okay, let me start over again. Okay, based on what is coming after this, I think as. Okay. The position of the Hebrews after the royal edict became known as a beggar's description. Okay, so after they put out the royal edict that indefinite description was not known. Yep, you could be right. You could be right. I was reading ahead. But what I think it also could also be alluding to is that after the king issued the decree, remember Haman, all his shenanigans, okay, yep, okay, seal this with my ring, you can kill all the Hebrews, right? So once it was known and everybody throughout the land, because they're kind of taunting them as the day is coming, like your day of death is coming. So even when they tried to sell themselves or whatever as a value, it's like, nope, you're worth nothing. Like, you're going to die in a few days. Like, if I buy you, I'm losing my investment. So listen, I'm going to add as in here, and we'll and look at it. I'll start over. The position of the Hebrews after the royal edict the position of the Hebrews after the royal edict became a known beggar's description. If a Hebrew ventured abroad on the street to make a purchase, he was almost throttled by the Persians, who taunted him with these words, "Never mind, tomorrow will soon be here, and then I shall kill thee and take thy money away from thee." If a Hebrew offered to sell himself as a slave, he was rejected. Not even the sacrifice of his liberty could protect him against the loss of his life. Mordecai, however, did not despair. He trusted in the divine help. On his way from the court, after Haman and his ilk had informed him with malicious joy of the king's pleasure. All right, babe. After Haman and his ilk had informed him with malicious joy of the king's pleasure concerning the Hebrews, he met Hebrew children coming from school. He asked the first child what verse from the scriptures he had studied in school that day, and the reply was, "Be not afraid of sudden fear, neither the desolation of the wicked when it cometh." The verse committed to memory The verse committed to memory by the second was, "Let them take counsel together, but it shall be brought to naught. Let them speak the word, but it shall not stand, for Yahuwah is with us." And the verse which the third had learnt was, "And even to old age I am he, and even to hoar hairs I will carry you. I have made and will bear you. Yea, I will carry and will deliver." When Mordecai heard these verses, he broke out into jubilation, astonishing Haman not a little. Mordecai told him, "I rejoice at the good tidings announced to me by the school children." Haman thereupon fell into such a rage that he exclaimed, and Sue,
Mom,
yes, baby.
no zombies.
No zombies. Okay, well, I hope not.
No zombies in our house.
Yeah, there are no zombies in our house.
And Mom, only neighbors.
Only neighbors? The neighbors got zombies? No, the neighbors don't have zombies either. Okay, all right. We'll talk about this in a second. Okay. Mordecai told him, "I rejoice at the good tidings announced to me by the school children." Haman thereupon fell into such a rage that he exclaimed, and sued, "They shall be the first to feel the weight of my hand." What gave Mordecai the greatest concern was the certainty that the danger had been invited by the Hebrews themselves through their sinful conduct in connection with the banquets given by Ahasuerus. 18,500 Hebrews had taken part in them. They had eaten and drunk, intoxicated themselves, and committed immoralities, as Haman had foreseen. The very reason, indeed, he had advised the king to hold the banquets. Look, I tell you. Remember, because what he said, listen, their God will not hear them if they live a sinful life. Look. Okay. Thereupon, Satan had indicted the Hebrews. The accusations which he produced against them were of such a nature that Yahuwah at once ordered writing materials to be brought to him for the decree of annihilation, and it was written and sealed. When the Torah heard that Satan's designs against the Hebrews had succeeded, she broke out into bitter weeping before Yahuwah, and her lamentations awakened the angels, who likewise began to wail, saying, If Israel is to be destroyed, of what avail is the whole world? The sun and the moon heard the lamentations of the angels, and they dawned their mourning like I'm mourning a death, right? Not mourning, but mourning. The sun and the moon heard the lamentations of the angels, and they donned their mourning garb, and also wept bitterly and wailed, saying, Is Israel to be destroyed? Israel who wanders from town to town and from land to land, only for the sake of the study of the Torah, who suffers grievously under the hand of the heathen, only because he observes the Torah and the sign of the covenant? In great haste, the prophet Elijah ran to the patriarchs and to the other prophets and to the saints in Israel and addressed these words to them. O ye fathers of the world, angels, the sun and the moon, heaven and earth, and all the celestial hosts are weeping bitterly. The whole world is seized with woes as of a woman in travail, by reason of your children who have forfeited their life on the account of their sins, and ye sit quiet and tranquil. Thereupon Moses said to Elijah, Knowest thou any saints in the present generation of Israel? Elijah named Mordecai, and Moses sent the prophet to him, with the charge that he, the saint of the living generation, should unite his prayers with the prayers of the saints among the dead, and perhaps the doom might be averted from Israel. But Elijah hesitated. O faithful shepherd, he said, the edict of annihilation issued by Yahuwah is written and sealed. Moses, however, did not desist. He urged the patriarchs, If the edict is sealed with wax, your prayers will be heard. If with blood, then all is vain. Elijah hastened to Mordecai, who, when first he heard what Yahuwah had resolved upon, tore his garments and was possessed by a great fear, though before he had confidently hoped that help would come from Yahuwah. He gathered together all the school children and had them to fast, so that their hunger should drive them to moan and groan. Yeah, he found the purest among them all. Like, y'all parents done gone completely crazy. The children, maybe Yahuwah will hear the cries of the children, right? Look. He gathered together all the school children and had them fast, so that their hunger should drive them to moan and groan. Then it was that Israel spoke to Yahuwah, O Lord of the world, when the heathen rage against me, they do not desire my silver and gold. They desire only that I should be exterminated from off the face of the earth. Such was the design of Nebuchadnezzar when he wanted to compel Israel to worship the idol. Had it not been for Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, which is the three Hebrew boys that were thrown into the fiery furnace, had it not been for Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, I had disappeared from the world. Now it is Haman who desires to uproot the whole vine. Then Mordecai addressed all the people thus, O people of Israel, thou art so dear and precious in the sight of thy heavenly Father. Knowest thou what has happened? Hast thou not heard that the king and Haman have resolved to remove us from off the face of the earth, to destroy us from beneath the sun? We have no king on whom we can depend, and no prophet to intercede for us with prayers. There is no place whither we can flee, no land wherein we can find safety. We are like sheep without a shepherd, like a ship upon the sea without a pilot. We are like an orphan born after the death of his father, and death robs him of his mother, too, when he has scarce begun to draw nourishment from her breast. After this address, a great prayer meeting was called outside of Shushan. The ark, containing the scroll of the law, covered with sackcloth and strewn with ashes, was brought thither. The scroll was unrolled, and the following verses read from it. When thou art in tribulation, and all these things are come upon thee, in the latter days thou shalt return unto Yahuwah thy God, and hearken unto his voice, for Yahuwah thy God is a merciful God, He will not fail thee, neither destroy thee, nor forget the covenant of thy fathers, which he swore unto them. Thereunto Mordecai added words of admonition. O people of Israel, thou art dear and precious to thy Father in heaven. Let us follow the example of the inhabitants of Nineveh, doing as they did when the prophet Jonah came to them to announce the destruction of the city. The king arose from his throne and laid his crown from him, covered himself with sackcloth, sat in ashes, and he made proclamation and published through Nineveh by decree of the king and his nobles, saying, Let neither man nor beast, herd nor flock taste anything. Let them not feed nor drink water, but let them be covered with sackcloth, both man and beast, and let them cry mightily unto Yahuwah. Yea, let them turn every one from his evil way and from the violence that is in their hands. Then Yahuwah repented him of the evil he had designed to bring upon them, and he did it not. Now then, let us follow their example. Let us hold a fast. Mayhap Yahuwah will have mercy upon us. Furthermore, spake Mordecai, O Lord of the world, didst thou not swear unto our fathers to make us as many as the stars in the heavens? And now we are as sheep in the shambles. What has become of thine oath? He cried out aloud, though he knew Yahuwah hears the softest whisper. For he said, O Father of Israel, what hast thou done unto me? One single cry of anguish uttered by Esau thou did repay with the blessing of his father Isaac. By thy sword shall thou live, and now we ourselves are abandoned to the mercy of the sword. What Mordecai was not aware of was that he, the descendant of Jacob, was brought unto weeping and wailing by Haman, the descendant of Esau, as a punishment, because Jacob himself had brought Esau unto weeping and wailing. All right, y'all, we'll go to the next section. And also, hold on, but she can go back into this again. I think they're going to talk about the fast again, where they spent 3 days fasting. And some people that think that's not possible, I'm here to tell you from personal experience, you can fast. Today they call it a dry fast. Hold on, Josh. They call it a dry fast where you don't eat or drink anything. I went 2.25 days dry fast and building myself up to being able to do. I looked at the most extreme fast, right? I guess you can say like the most, not necessarily compared to a dry fast. Some people would think a 40-day water fast is extreme, like you ain't putting nothing in your body but water. But what I found to be the most extreme fast is a dry fast, like what Esther called them to do. And what they did back here, what we just read about, is 3 days, no food, no water, like nothing goes into your mouth. I mean, now some people take it to the way extreme. They don't even shower. I'm just like, I don't know about that part. I'm going to still get in some water. So, but a few months back, I was like, I'm going to work myself up to where hopefully I'd never have to use it, because fasting is another tool that we can use spiritually to, if like we feel like we're not hearing from Yah, it'll give us a quick breakthrough in whatever is clouding our hearing and our thinking, or stopping us up from hearing, or anything that is blocking our way. Fasting along with your prayers, I found to be the quickest thing that breaks that wall or that blockage, right? But you absolutely can do a 3-day water fast. And I did like 2.25 days. It was my first time doing it. I had nothing to eat, nothing to drink. Now I'm gonna tell you, the first day was extremely easy. I found out something when you fast. Like if you're trying to get started a fast, the best way to do it is always, from my personal experience, is to always do your first day as a complete dry fast. Because when you sleep, as long as you don't put anything into your mouth to eat or to drink, you will not activate your eating system. The word just leaves me. Your whole your digestive system, right? You won't activate it. But the first time you go to, even if it's just water you drink, you're going to activate the ghrelin process, which kicks in hunger and stuff, right? Because when you sleep, you're fasting. But if you go on that day, say if you want to do a 3-day fast, you'll find that the first day is completely easy if you don't activate your digestive system by putting anything to eat or drink in your body. It's the first day of the fast is one of the most easiest you can do if you're doing a longer fast. The second day of the fast was pretty easy as well, although the hunger kicked in a little bit, but what was crazy was it wasn't as bad as trying to get through the first 5 days of a complete water fast for me, right? Because I still haven't activated my system, and I was taking a shower, so I wasn't completely dry. I was getting when you're not putting anything in your mouth, your body is smart that'll start pulling in moisture from everywhere else. Like I actually did a study on this. Like some people when they dry fast, like I said, they won't touch water, they won't brush their teeth, they won't wash dishes or anything. I'm like, well, shoot, I'm cooking, clean all these kids, and I ain't walking around here stinking. So I'm like, Father, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna build myself up to it because I want to get up to where if I ever need to do a 3-day dry fast at the drop of a dime, Yahuwah said dry fast 3 days. Not saying he gonna tell me, but y'all get what I'm saying, right? For my own personal discipline and growth in spirituality, that's something I just decided to do. I'm gonna take on the practice of fasting, and I want to be able to do that. I don't ever want food or something to have me where I can't push it away to hear clearly from y'all, right? So just a little side note: if you've been trying to fast or get into the habit of fasting, it should be a lifestyle for you who is people, right? That's a tip for you. You can start your fast the first day. It'll help you jumpstart if you make your first day. I ain't saying you got to do it, but and just go test it, go try it. You will see what I mean. Try a couple different fasts, set like 2 or 3 days. Could be water fast or whatever, but take note, keep track, and you will find out that if you don't activate your digestive system with anything to eat or drink when you wake up from fasting throughout the night, it's easier to get through the first day completely dry fast, and even the second day. It really is. But like I said, the second day of the dry fast, and I had to break it the morning of the 3rd day because I was like, okay, it's my first time dry fast, and I possibly could have went on a little bit longer, but I didn't want to press it, right? Because I'm still trying to detox my mind where the medical field telling you can't do this, you're going to die. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to eat an apple. I was like, okay, first time doing it, I got through 2 days. I'm actually in the morning of the 3rd day. I'm like, okay, Father, I'm going to do this again. So I ate an apple and broke my fast. So I did 2 days. Dry fast, nothing. Although I brushed my teeth, I showered, and I still wash dishes. But I found it's really easy. So as you build yourself up, you can build yourself up to do longer fasts. Now, I personally wouldn't recommend doing longer than a 3-day dry fast. I've only gotten through 2, but I've heard people, they've done 5 days. I'm like, you was a champ. I don't know that I would ever need to have to go that long. But you got to be careful about it, and you got to have already been taking care of your body, or at least practicing the lifestyle of fasting by doing maybe you need to start up by doing maybe just fruits and veggies, and then transition to maybe just fresh fruit juice, and then transition into water, then try your hand at fasting. Like, build up to it. It's a lot better if you learn how to build up to it and not try and bite off big chunks, especially if you haven't been in the habit of fasting anyway. So start small. Okay, I'm gonna do 24 hours, because when I first started, I think I told y'all before, I couldn't get through 24 hours. I'm like, oh my gosh, am I this addicted to food that I can't go a whole 24 hours without fasting? So but it's been a few years of me practicing and not giving up, right? So if you fail, hey, just keep going, keep trying till you get it. You eventually get it. If you're focused and you're determined, you're going to do it. If you decided you was going to do a 10-day fast, but you only got through 2, blessed be the most holy. You done built yourself up and you done got through 2. Try it again, Take some days off, try it again. Focus, go it again. You'll find out you may be able to go 2 days longer, maybe 1 day longer. Hey, you can go longer now. You will see the progression of time. Just like with you working out, running, building up your stamina, it increases over time if you don't give up. If you get into a habit of doing it, you will see you will get stronger the longer you do it, and just keep doing it, y'all. I'm telling you, from personal experience, I'm telling you, until I made it, and I was able to do a 40-day water fast. Last year was my first time being able, I'm 42 now, 40 years old, my first time being able to do a 40-day water fast, right? All right, so I just wanted to say that. Let me read this next section. Are we done with the reading? Actually, we could be. I didn't start this next section. And we probably should stop because we're already at 58 minutes. We're going to stop here. We was about to go into this next section about the dream of Mordecai fulfilled. But since we got like 2 minutes to the hour point, I think we're just going to pause right here. But it is going some more and talking about the fasting, because Esther is going to call the fast, right? It just went over what Mordecai was saying about the fasting and crying out to Yah for what was about to happen to them. Okay, yeah, we'll stop right here. So yeah, we done with the reading for the day, y'all. So I'll pause right here. All right, so that was pages. Move it, Josh. Don't do that. Wait till I'm done. I told you to wait a minute already. Get that football. We read 2 Kings chapter 21, 22, and 23, and we started on page 503 of the Legends of the Jews, and we paused on page 505. All right, y'all. So I hope y'all enjoyed the readings today. All right, y'all. So it is Tuesday, April the 27th, 2021, day 138 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets, and of the 3-year consecutive day count, day 807, y'all. Let's move this over here. I'll pull up the blessing. I think I missed a couple other comments. I'll go back after we do the blessing. I'll go back and scan it real quick. Because it's Tuesday and some people got to get to work. I don't want to talk too long. I say it during the week. I'm going to do my best to stay within an hour mark. So, all right, y'all. So the blessing is found in Numbers chapter 6, verses 22 through 27. Remember, the first 21 verses is the Nazirite vow. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, On this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, May Yahuwah bless us and keep us. May Yahuwah make his face to shine upon us and be gracious unto us. May Yahuwah lift up his countenance upon us and give us his peace. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. All right, y'all. I'm going to remember to add the section there about Josiah so you can read the details on what actually happened and why he died when he died. He should not have died. Okay, y'all. So let me check through here real quick. I don't see any more questions over here on Facebook. Let me check through here. Lindsay, you right about that. She said, yes, you're right, because the 501(c) agreement they have with this satanic system, their job is to deceive, not deliver. Look, and I've been doing taxes for over a decade, and I can tell you, let me tell you something. When I first, because I actually took a course so I could specialize, and this was before I started learning about all the stuff I'm learning now. I was like still in the church, like calling Yahuwah JC and everything, right? I've been doing taxes. I started doing taxes when I got out of the military. So when I found that there was like this course that I could take to specialize in ministry taxes, the taxes, doing it for the clergy, I took it, right? So I went through this and I was doing the accounting courses for it and everything. I was like, wait a minute. And that's when I found out that, first of all, according to the IRS tax code, if you are a church, and here, oh my gosh, and I even tried to tell my pastor at the time, I was telling him about this. I was like, do you know, according to the IRS tax code, that churches, just by default, by being a church, they automatically already consider you to be, although you don't take the status 501(c)(3), but they consider you tax exempt. You don't have to pay tax. You file your normal stuff or whatever. I said, but you do not have to take that certification of the 501(c)(3). I said, once you take that, now you are required to do certain things that they didn't require churches to do, right? They exempted you right off the bat just because of the type of establishment you were, right? But when you take that 501(c)(3) status, now not only do you have to fall and up under and do all these things and make sure it's right, and they also, it tells you in there that you cannot preach like if you wanted to preach against homosexuality, you can't. Why? Because now your pappy is the system. Right now you have to follow the rule of the government, and they dictate what you preach from your pulpit. When I found that out, I was shocked. I'm like, wait a minute. I said, and they was in the process of doing this. I was like, Pastor, you might want to check this out before you take this. I said, you're already considered by the IRS to do this. I said, you don't have to take this status. I said, if you take this status, you're not going to be able to preach freely. And if you want to say something that they're now, you got to, because all this stuff was coming to a head. And remember that one lady, her name was Kim something. She was a court clerk, right? But she was a court clerk who actually signed off on marriage certificates and stuff. Remember that whole thing, the different homosexual couples, they wanted like cakes and stuff made by different places. They said, well, according to our values, we're not doing it, so we're going to turn your business away, right? But this court clerk, and they made a big deal out of it, and I'm glad at that time I understood what it meant. I said, okay, so although she was fighting against it, she said, well, I served JC, and it was like all on news. Y'all probably remember, I forget her last name. She was like, well, I serve JC, and this is against my religious values, and I don't believe in homosexuality because the Bible says this and this and this. A lot of people was jumping like, yeah, you can't do that, and how you gonna? They was like, sis, you need to find another job. I'm saying, yes, according to what I understood at the time. Matter of fact, Yahuwah hadn't really started connecting the dots about who he was and all this other, the church doctrine and stuff, but I was slowly paying attention to stuff. And if you work for the government, when you sign your government contract, your position contract, or whatever it is that they call it for your position, you work for the government. Whatever the government does and whatever they pass down their rulings, when you sign your government contract, you sign that and you say, yes, I will uphold everything, this, and this, right? You cannot deviate from that, right? But she was trying to bring, and I know this is like they come in with the separation of church and state and all this. I was like, y'all are misunderstanding this, because first, she shouldn't, instead of doing all this big hoopla about all of this, she should probably had just resigned, because now by doing this, she was violating her contract. If she knew that this was a moral violation of what she believed, instead of her doing all this hoopla, trying to bring attention to the government, this and this and this, you're wrong, right? Because if this goes against your moral values and principles, you should have gracefully resigned from your position when you realize, oh, wait a minute, well, I didn't realize that at first. Okay, this requires me to do this. Instead of trying to bring all this ruckus, she should have resigned from her position, right? And it's like the same principle, like people talk about the jab is the mark of the beast. I don't know. I'm not going to say all that, right? That some people say, that so either you're going to take this or you're going to lose your job, right? And it's the same principle behind that, right? Okay, so that if you work for the government, these type of positions, and they mandate you take this, and that this is coming down the road, you have the opportunity to choose for yourself. Either, okay, what am I going to do? Is my faith stronger? Am I going to be able to trust in Yah, or am I going to be, and it's not even being bullied, but what it is, it's your own thinking, your own mindset, your own faith in what you believe. It's your inner strength that will allow you to step away from what you know is wrong, or it's like, I ain't got no other choice. When you say I ain't got no other choice, it's like you don't trust Yah, and you really, it's like we now know that you have a purchase price, and you can be bought out for the right price, right? So y'all have to be careful about those things. It was the same thing. It was the same exact thing. So that 501c3 status, churches really don't need it. But those that have it, when the government comes with their threat, oh, this, and this, they got to line up and do what they say, or they can choose to, okay, well, take this status, we'll dissolve this, and we'll start it up. My personal belief, based on what I know with the tax law and running business and stuff, if you want to have a church, if you want to call it a church, I don't know that I would even call it a church. Just don't even include me, right? How about we start something like, I don't know, you can like start a business. You can have members of foundation or whatever, and you can have teaching classes where you can teach whatever it is you want to teach. The government requires us to do this, but we can teach our own curriculum. Like, you got to look at businesses. They don't come in intruding on you, but when you say you're a nonprofit, they want to control what you teach to the masses, right? But if you have your own private business, you can have curriculums and stuff you teach, or teaching the Bible, whatever you want to call it. Change the wording of it. Curriculum, this is what we teach here. And we got to pay taxes. Okay, this. Okay, let's structure this into a S corporation or a C corp or whatever. Do this. It's a business. Now we have members, and you ain't gotta ask for tithes and offering. Okay, to be a part of this business, here's what we require. Set it all out. Make a charter. Do it that way. Make it completely legal. If people want to be a part of it, this is what we got. This. You can set it up, and you can actually have something where you're not just pulling in money from people, but you can actually give something to the community. Like if all of us, we're all like technology geniuses. All right, well, let's create something for the people. Let's kind of create an app, something that's going to help the people, not just pull it. And you're teaching them you can do all of this instead of just bringing in money from people. Where people are like, well, you always taking our money. What are you doing? We won't see anything. Run it like a business. Have something to offer along with the information, even if it's a technology type medium where people can take it and they can like apply it to their life or help them with their finances, the principles. Y'all see what I'm saying? Have something where you can actually give with the information where people can take it and they can benefit and they can see the growth and they can like use it, even if it's like a budgeting app or something. Here are the principles that we teach, and if you do it like this, y'all get what I'm saying, right? Don't call it a church, right? I ain't telling you what to do, but in order to get you from under the hand of Massa and him coming in here dictating to you what you can teach, you can just use a little bit of wisdom and do it the right way and not violate Yahuwah's laws and statutes by still teaching the truth, and they can't do anything to you, right? Come out of their system completely. All right, I'm done with that. Yeah, so that's what I learned about that 501c3. And I look at different churches. I'm like, I wonder if you really know that, right? And some of y'all that see some of these pastors, like, well, they sidestepping on their mat. Oh, they didn't took that. Check it and see if they took that 501c3 status. And if they did, is certain rules and regulations that they follow. And if it seemed like they lining up to that, y'all might want to find y'all a new pastor because they have a purchase price, right? And you don't want to get caught up in them shenanigans while they feeding you a bunch of garbage, right? I'm telling you. So with that being said, okay. All right, y'all. Thank you, Alicia. I'm not sure what it was, but thank you. Okay, y'all. But that's it for today. All right, Ali, he probably already gone. Peace, brother. He had to go to work. All right, y'all. But anyway, that's it for today. I'll see y'all back here tomorrow, bright and early. I thought it must have been. I thought I saw something else, but apparently it was in the stuff that was just deleted. I didn't read it all, but I'll come back. All right, but anyway, I remember to share this portion about Josiah. So check back in about an hour and look in the comment section, depending if you don't know where to find it. The extended portion about Josiah and how he got himself in trouble. I'll pin that in the description box and in a comment section. Well, in the description box, and I'll pin it in the comment section, and the same thing on Facebook as well. All right, y'all. Love y'all. See y'all tomorrow bright and early, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace. Everybody have a great day. Shalom, Hezekiah. All right, y'all.